Well, good evening. I pray the Lord has blessed you today, and I pray He continues to bless you today. It's very difficult this day and time, especially right now, for the past few months and for the next few months, to go an hour without politics slapping you in the face, somebody talking to you, turn on the TV, the radio, look at Facebook, whatever, for politics to just be right there in your face. And I've taught on this before, and I hate politics because they're not what politics should be. And it took me back to a message where the Lord had given to our church a little over 2 years ago in July of 22. We were in a prayer meeting, and he was talking to us about the church, how he desired a chaste bride, a pure bride, to come before him. And somehow it was again in political season, and politics arose somehow in conversation. And he spoke to us, and he told us basically that man did not invent politics, that God did, which kind of surprised me because it's a divisive system, a hateful system, a horrible system. But then he began to explain, and he said, I set up a political atmosphere, a political way of living in order to keep my people in line. Think about that, a political system to keep his people in line, to show them how to act, and to teach them what to do. Sounds good to me. But then he went on to say that, as always, the evil one comes in and uses men to pervert the truth, to pervert what God has intended for good, perverted the way to keep people in line, the way to show them how to act, and to teach them what to do, which is what politics ought to do. So then we looked up the definition in the Oxford Dictionary of today's version, and I'm sure this definition is probably 100 years old, but anyway, this is the definition that the Oxford Dictionary had. It says, the activities associated with the governance of a country or other area, especially the debate, and this is the part that really comes in, or conflict among individuals or parties having or hoping to achieve power. It's of Greek origins. The set of activities that are associated with making decisions in groups or other forms of power relations among individuals, such as distribution of resources or status. And that sounds like our government today. It's all about power. It's all about getting my way. And that's not what the Word teaches. The Word teaches us that we should think of others more than ourselves. The Word teaches us that we should do unto others as He would have them do unto us. He doesn't exactly say that, but it's the idea that it comes across, that we're supposed to love others more than we love ourselves. And that can only be done through Jesus Christ. Humanity cannot do it. Meditation, yoga, Eastern religions, all this stuff cannot do that. It only comes through Jesus Christ, because He's the author of love. But He did give us His definition of what politics should be, what He intended politics to be. And this is what He said. He said, politics is the exchange of ideas in order to make a better way of living, to minds that are open and receptive to learning to teaching and understanding. That's what government should be. The exchange of ideas to make a better world, to make a better nation, to make a better people. Minds that are open, receptive to learning, to teaching and to understanding. True understanding only comes through God, through the Holy Spirit. As you look back at our nation, and I know there's a lot of controversy on this now, our nation wasn't set up to be a Christian nation. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. You look back. Ben Franklin, I think it was, as the Constitution was being written, it started out pretty good, and then they got to the point where the exchange of ideas was getting heated. They were fighting with each other and wanting their own ways. And I believe it was Ben Franklin came to them and basically told them, guys, look, when we started out with this, because this has been going on for months, when we started out at this, we were praying, seeking God's wisdom, seeking God's understanding. And we've gone away from that. And he encouraged them, and they began to take an hour every day before they went in to do the discussions, to pray and seek God's face. After doing that, they came up with the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. An amazing, amazing thing that they came up with. But it was through God. And they have quoted many of these that have written the Constitution that were leaders after that, made statements that the only way this can work is with Christian morals. The only way this Bill of Rights, the only way this Constitution can be in effect and work is if people have a godly attitude, if they go by Christian morals and Christian faith. And we have gotten so far away from that. It amazes me. I remember a time when I was young where politicians would actually sit down and discuss and talk with one another and debate one another in a civil manner and not try to down each other and say ugly things about each other. And they would come to an agreement. And yes, there was a little bickering and always going to be some of that. But they would, for the most part, be civil to one another. That's changed. That's changed. Now everything is trying to cut people down, trying to do whatever it takes to get your way. And what God told us that way was that politics today is hatred, bitterness, striving for power and authority. And that's what it's become. And it's not about what's best for the people. It's not what's best for a nation. It's what's best for a party, one or the other. They're both corrupt, in my opinion, one more corrupt than the other, but both corrupt. And it's taken our nation down. And the only way we are going to get back to truly being a nation is to turn back to what politics was originally meant to be, where we go back to a place where we can exchange ideas to make a better way of living for us. Jesus set the standard. Jesus knows how it needs to work. And until we go back to that, it's not going to change. We need to pray. We need to seek God's face. And we need to go back to the basics of what politics is supposed to be. And the only way that's going to happen is to be smart enough to get rid of some of these people that are not going to do it God's way. They're too headstrong in doing it, the definition of the politics today. But we risk to remember that God's in control. He tells us very plainly in the Word that He sets up nations, He tears down nations. He sets up governors and tears down governors and presidents and leaders. And it's all for a purpose. And we see in the end it's going to get kind of rough. But God can turn things around. But we must turn to Him. Let's take out the bitterness and the anger and the hatred and love each other. Because love will turn things around. True love. Not selfish love. Not love in order to get, but love that makes the other person more important than yourself. That's what works, because that's what God set up. I pray that as political, I can't even talk now, political things take place these next few months, don't let it discourage you. Don't let it make you angry and hate. Don't let it make you bitter, no matter how it turns out. God's plan's going to come into effect, and if you're serving Him, you're going to be okay. I love you, and I pray God blesses you, and I pray God's perfect will is accomplished. Bye-bye.